Welcome back. It's time for Water Cooler Talk, brought to you by Grand Falls Casino and Golf Resort. Today, I am joined by our Summit League expert, Brad Newitt, to chat about this past weekend because a lot of notable things going on in the Summit League. We're kind of halfway through that first round of league play. Some things are starting to shake out, but at the same time, the league season is very young. So we're going to start out, Brad, by talking about the South Dakota State men because they are playing really well right now. And when I say playing really well, I mean they're scoring 90 points a game in Summit League play, which is insane. So what has been the key to this high-scoring offense?
Well, they're getting great production from their big three, and that's Mike Dahm, Reed Tellinghusen, and David Jenkins Jr. Those three together are just dominating offensively. It starts with Dahm. I mean, is there a game when he doesn't seem like he scores 30 points a game?
I don't think so.
I mean, every night out, filling the box score. And once he's got into Summit League play, it just seems like he's even playing better on the offensive end. And, you know, I think you got David Jenkins Jr., the freshman, and what he's been able to do shooting the basketball. And then Reed Tellinghusen's having a great senior year. So those three combined, I think, are just becoming an unstoppable force. They lead the Summit League in almost every offensive category there is. Shooting percentages, three-point, free throws, they're knocking in a ton of those. If they play like this offensively, it's hard to see anybody being able to hang with them.
Well, I feel like, I mean, obviously there's Mike Dahm averaging, talked about, does he not score 30 points a game? Well, statistically, he's averaging 31 in league play, but you look at a player like Reed Tellinghusen, and off to a great senior year, but I feel like the big games and those big wins for SDSU is when Tellinghusen plays well. Do you feel like he's kind of that catalyst in their offense?
I think he is. He's a huge leader for them. There's no question about that. I mean, a senior that they really look to, and defensively, he's a great player for them. I also think you got some supporting cast. You got a guy like Skylar Flatten, who's been leading the Summit League in three-point shooting. Doesn't shoot it a lot, but he's real efficient when he does score. And you know, they've gotten enough production off their limited bench to do what they need to do. And like I said, if SDSU continues to play like this offensively, which I'll be honest with you, Kelly, I don't think they can because they're playing off the chart right now, but they're just a tough team to beat. They
are. They're playing really well right now. Well, let's look at the team that was picked second in the Summit League going into this year, the USD, the Coyote men. And they're not doing bad right now, but I feel like we can see more out of them. But they have a good test this week, playing against Oral Roberts at home on Wednesday and then at Omaha on Saturday. So we were talking about it a little bit off camera, Brad. They're winning games, but you feel like they could maybe do a little bit better.
I do. I don't think their best players are really playing their best offense. And it starts with Matt Mooney. He's really kind of had some struggles shooting the basketball, not real consistent, some ups, some downs, some kind of hot shooting and then some cold shooting. But they've been able to ride through that. I think the key with South Dakota is their defense, and can their defense carry? I mean, you look at the one game they did lose at home against North Dakota State, they really struggled defensively, but ever since then, and really the rest of their games, they've been great on the defensive end. And so this matchup with Oral Roberts on Wednesday night is going to be a big one. Oral Roberts is a team that's definitely improved. We've seen that, and can really put up a good test, I think, for this South Dakota team, excuse me.
And I feel like if you're Craig Smith and you look at, all right, what do we need to work on going forward from here? If the defense is not the problem, I think that's good because you know you have playmakers on the team. You know eventually the averages are going to play out. These guys can score. It's kind of that ebbs and flows kind of thing with the season going on. But you talk about NDSU, if we're talking about USD's defense, that game, they went off from three. I mean, someone like Cameron Hunter going 5 of 5 from deep range. But you look at NDSU, they lost to Denver in Fargo, which doesn't happen. They're kind of living and dying by the three. And do you think, I mean, what's going to happen there?
Yeah, I mean, this North Dakota State men's team is really tough to figure out. I kind of equate them to a stock market Dow Jones. I mean, they're up, they're down, and you feel good about them one night, then the next night they disappoint you. And like you said, they lose to Denver at home after a big win at USD. And then they bounce back and beat Oral Roberts. And you look at in games when North Dakota State is making double-digit three-point shots, they are doing really well. But in games when they struggle shooting the basketball, like they did in that loss to Denver, boy, it gets tight. And I think a lot of it's just because you look at North Dakota State's team this year, they don't have a lot of interior scoring. They really miss a guy like Dex Werner, who was a senior for them last year, was a great scorer for them and very efficient inside. So they're really perimeter oriented, and they need the three-point shot to go in for them to be good.
Yeah, very true. Well, let's move on to women's basketball because we talked about the South Dakota State men scoring a ton of points. Well, the USD women, who you know I love to talk about, but they're scoring 82 points a game in Summit League play, and their defense has been fantastic, holding opponents to 55 points. I mean, what do you see now, Don Plitz-White's squad right now?
Well, yeah, like you said, they're playing great on both ends of the floor. First of all, their defense fuels their offense because they get a lot of steals on their defensive end. That gives them a lot of transition as well. And they're shooting the ball at a great clip as well because they're getting really great looks in and around the bucket as well. And so South Dakota, to me, they haven't had the most challenging schedule yet. Their tougher games are coming. They still have the marquee win of the year, and that's winning at Western Illinois. But the rest of their Summit League games have been ones that, quite frankly, I think we expected them to win. The thing that's been impressive to me has been the margin that they're winning these games at. I mean, they are dominating. They haven't had a close game yet, but the schedule's about to get a lot tougher for them. They got to go on the road to Oral Roberts, who I think is a very capable team in Tulsa of maybe giving a scare to some of these top teams on the women's side.
Yeah, ORU is tough at home. And you talk about playing in Tulsa. The South Dakota State women just had a gritty road trip. They had to play at Denver and then head to Tulsa to play Oral Roberts. They had flight delays, they had all kinds of things going on, but they pull off 2 road wins. They're the only other team besides USD that's 4-0 in conference play. So what are you seeing out of SDSU right now?
Well, again, they're getting great play out of their guards, Madison Giebert, Macy Miller, maybe the 2 best guards in mid-major basketball. I mean, when you look at what those 2 do, shooting the basketball, how well they play off each other. Giebert's averaging almost 20 a game in Summit League games, and Miller's not too far behind there. So they've got a great 1-2 tandem there that can really help them. But like you mentioned, I mean, they had a tough road trip, had to go on the road to Denver, had to go on the road to Oral Roberts, had some travel issues, and teams are going to have that from time to time. Didn't make any excuses, went and got 2 wins against teams that I think you expect them to beat, but when you have to play that kind of road schedule back-to-back, that's not always easy to do. I think the good news for South Dakota State, they're coming back home now, get to play at Frost Arena, a place where they are very, very tough to beat.
Very good at home. Well, we're going to switch gears back to men's basketball. NDSU and UND, future Summit League opponents, but they are getting together tomorrow in Fargo. And I don't know, I always love this kind of interstate rivalry, but what do you expect in this game going in? I mean, UND's been up and down, so has NDSU. What do you think? Yeah,
this is going to be a great one to watch, and I'm excited that these teams are playing. Actually, they're both playing home, and they're playing a home-and-home series this year because of some of the scheduling things that happened in the Summit League. And so this is what we're going to have going forward, and I think a good filler game in the middle of the conference for North Dakota State. Now, they handled North Dakota at North Dakota earlier this year. To me, North Dakota has struggled some in Big Sky play. This is going to be a game that North Dakota State play on their home floor. You'd expect them, hopefully maybe after some momentum that they got Saturday, that they can come away with the win. Again, like we talked about, I think a lot of it comes down to three-point shooting. And North Dakota has really good guards that can really guard North Dakota State from the perimeter. So I think it's going to be a close one, going to be a good matchup.
Yeah, I'm excited. Looking forward to watching that. That'll be live on Midco SN. All right, well, Brad, great as always to have you in here. And we're looking forward to that call on Wednesday with USD and Oral Roberts. All right, coming up after the break, Jason Andera recaps all the weekend's action in South Dakota high school hoops. Stay right here.